Hey everybody, it is a beautiful sunny day here in Southern California. So I got my sun hoodie on because you know it's always too hot or too cold. It's rarely ever perfect. So I'll give you a little look-see at what I've been working on. So I've been working on our cabinets. And of course the trash guy comes. So 1 second. Pardon that little break, but we are working on this cabinet here. This is next to our shower and above our toilet. In our design, we were originally planning for this to be a countertop, but since of course we wanted the toilet, instead of picking up and lifting it out of the shower, we wanted the toilet to be on slides. So that means that we're kind of having to figure out where we put our refrigerator, and in that case, this cabinet is where our refrigerator will go. So we wanted to go with the Dometic, was it CRX 110S? I think it's 3.8 cubic feet. It's about 30 inches tall and maybe 22 inches wide and deep. But of course, while we're building this, they have discontinued that line and they haven't, I guess, shipped the new line of NRX refrigerators to the US. So they're already available in Europe and some, maybe London, Australia, not in the US yet. So that'll be, I think, midsummer is what they said. But I don't know if we're going to be able to wait for that or if we're going to have to go with an alternative. But the good thing is that they're all kind of generally the same size, plus or minus an inch or two in any dimension. But here's what we've got so far. So we got these nice curved walls and siding that match, of course, our wall curves. So this is going to be the wall for the cabinet. This is what we're building to be a little armrest. So when our bench is right here, we'll be able to stick like cups and whatever good stuff onto that. And yeah, at this point, everything's already test fit. They're almost ready to be painted, but there's some things that I need to work out. So I'm waiting for the boss's approval, but we need to have our two switches here. They're both on the three-way that connect somewhere over here to our other switches. Those control our main lights and of course these under lighting here underneath our cabinets. And then there will also be an AC outlet and a DC outlet. So it'll be something just like this, right? We haven't installed our AC outlet here, but we did install this DC outlet. So this is going to be pretty sweet. We want to emphasize using our DC as opposed to AC. That way we don't need to turn on our inverter, which is probably around 15% inefficient. So wherever we can, we're trying to use these. And in a previous test that I did confirm that this does actually charge our laptops, which is great. So it's 65 watt PD through this USB-C port. So we'll have those installed on the siding here of our armrest. So I gotta wait for Liana to confirm the locations of those, but they'll probably be somewhere in this section here, but I'm unsure of how the order will go in terms of left to right. So gotta work on that. Then down here, kind of made a little miscut here, but it's not going to be an issue because we're just going to cover this up anyways. But down here in this little area is going to be our water heater. So that'll be our Bosch 2.5 gallon point of use water heater. It's about 15 inches square with a 12 or 11 3/4 inch deep. So it'll fit this space perfectly left to right. It'll probably be facing kind of that way, and we'll have the fittings coming up and out. But that leaves us with a little bit of space up here. So I'm planning to make some sort of little cubby down here. Let me get this out of the way. It'll probably be about 6 by 6. That way I'm not pushing dimensions too hard, and I won't have any issues fitting fittings into our water heater that come out of the top of it. So I'm gonna make a little cutout here and then build basically a little box that attaches to the wall and to here so that we could fit whatever we want to fit in there. And yeah, lots of stuff. I'm hoping that'll all get done today, and then Liana can start painting all this good stuff. It's a little hard to like finish the installation of all these things because we do need to paint stuff and finish them. But in these cases, we're not dealing with stain like our overhead cabinets, which is a good thing. We want these to pop. We want them to have a lot of emphasis, and it's also just a lot of work to finish these, right? Like you have to put, you know, the conditioner, sand it, stain it, then put your top coat, sand it, top coat, sand it, top coat. So that's what, like 5 or 6 different layers of stuff. And so it's also hard because you can only do, you know, obviously one side at a time. So lots of effort. So painting is the way. And then, yeah, so that's pretty much it. We're gonna see how this goes. Okay, we've finally decided on our orientation and position for our switches and outlets. So this is how it's gonna look. I got approval from the missus. So we're going to make sure that gets added in to our documentation. But yeah, so this is just your standard AC outlet cover, USB-C port and a USB port. And then these are 3-way dimmer switches. So they're kind of big chonkers, but this is what it looks like. This is obviously the face for it. But as far as I know, these are the only ones that do 3-way and dim at the same time. So we'll link all this stuff in the description. But for now, we're gonna get these drawn up and then cut out and go from there. Just did a bunch of measuring and marked up our piece of wood. So everything that we had to consider was kind of drawn onto here. So for example, we had our cushions, the backrest would come out kind of about to here. And then aside from that, I wanted to make sure that we had pretty much about a 1/2 inch everywhere else to play around with. So I did measure the complete outsides of everything. So luckily everything was pretty much a nice even number. And then from there, I kind of outlined the cutout dimensions, which are shown with these X's. So I'm gonna drill some holes through here just to fit my jigsaw, and then we'll get to cutting. All right, just finished cutting out those cutouts, and here's how it looks. So this is just test fitting right now. I haven't actually screwed anything down, but we'll have the opportunity to kind of rotate things a little bit to make it all nice and square with each other. But it looks pretty good. We did have one minor oopsie, which was this little splintering here. I thought I had a piece of wood behind my drill bit as I was drilling the hole to fit my jigsaw blade through, but apparently I was off by a few inches. So, but it'll be all right just because we're not actually staining this. This will just be painted, so we'll just make sure to fill that little gouge out with some wood filler before we paint it. So at this point, really happy with how it came out, and yeah, we'll ship this off to the finishing department, and then they'll get all the paint and all that good stuff done with it. So the next thing that we're going to be working on is building a little cubby right in this area. So our water heater is going to go right down in this area, so we will have about 8 to 10 inches of space to play around up here, and I think we're just going to build like 2 individual cubbies, kind of think like wine bottle holders. We're probably not going to be holding wine in them, but we figured we want to maximize the space in this area. So I am by no means an artist, but what we're looking at here is the side profile on the driver's side. So this water heater actually doesn't extend all the way to the top of this little cabinet area, so we're just going to build a little cubby right there for it. Still hard at work, but all of our pieces are for the most part test fit. We're still waiting to make the shelf kind of in the center, somewhere around here, based on whatever fridge we decide to get. Like we mentioned, the Dometic CRX 110S is what we were originally going for, but that's discontinued because they have a new line coming out not soon enough. So at the moment I'm doing a little bit of PHP, or pocket hole planning, not the programming language. So I did pocket hole this guy already, kind of fell to the ground, but we're getting some into the floor and then into the wall. I'll need to do the same concept for this big curved wall piece. We are lucky to have installed all of our screws pretty much horizontal and in line with our framing, obviously, because that's what they're screwed into. So although I can't exactly see my framing, I can see all of the supports, or all of the screws that I have screwed into, which are of course the framing. So that means that we have like pretty much a 4-inch running through here, 4-inch running through here, same with these guys. So that's gonna be my locations in this board that I'm going to be pocket holing into. And I might throw some in just kind of in the middle. I'm not sure how necessary it's going to be, but yeah. So consider keeping your screw heads visible, especially if they're within a cabinet. But of course, out here, we have no screw holes because we didn't want to see them. This is where our fridge will sit on top of. And then I want that to connect to this armrest piece through here. So I gotta probably take this off, pocket hole it here, and then, yeah, of course, pocket hole this big, long siding piece, all of the framing members that'll run horizontally here, and then I think as far as on this half of this, it probably doesn't actually need to be screwed, but I might sink a couple from down up, just going this way, so no pocket holes there. So a lot of work. It's warm and I'm sweaty. We're keeping the grind going, you know. You gotta do what you gotta do. So we'll do that and catch up in a little bit. Alright, I lied. These cuts aren't ready for the finishing department, aka Liana, just yet. I need to cut out basically a little hole for our control panel. So that'll hold things like our EasyStart controller, our Renogy controller, the inverter controller, what else? The SeeLevel, so our tank monitor. So from my kind of initial design, I think I only needed about a 10 by 10 space. So I'm gonna have to cut that out into this board, this one. And that'll essentially be like a little bump out with the door, so that door itself will be inset in here, so it'll be nice and flush. And then we'll probably throw some sort of, I don't know, woodwork or artwork kind of stuff on top of it so that it's not as visible, at least like the little gaps in between all the edges. So that'll be interesting to build because we have to consider kind of like the door being flush. So if we use, say, 1/2-inch plywood, everything's got to be 1/2 inch back, and then at the same time everything's got to be far enough back to the point where it's not going to interfere with the rest of the cabinet and the contents inside it. So like our fridge. So I think it's going to be honestly kind of like 2 layers. So you'll have the door, then inside it you'll have the little wall that everything mounts to, and then behind it you'll have kind of like just this rear wall where everything, all of the wires and stuff will run without getting caught into the neighboring compartment or refrigerator cabinet. So we're gonna see how that goes, and I also want to make it so that if we need to get behind stuff, we can. So that means probably from the rear or from the front we'll have some sort of like screws visible so that we can unscrew it, pop off that plate, and then get behind all of the electronics. So I'm gonna have to measure out all of our devices, see how much depth they need, make sure that they're not interfering the door when it swings closed, and then have to build a box. So it'll be interesting. It'll probably be like 4 inches deep is my assumption right now. Hello.
Good morning. All right, what are we working on today?
Today, our finishing department is going to be doing some painting.
And the finishing department is me.
And then, yeah, before she gets into that, I have to do some cutting, so we have to cut out the cutout for our control center. So it's going to be a tight fit because we're going to have a fridge right next to it, so lots of strategic planning is necessary.
Yep. All right, let's get to it.
Sounds good.
Alright, Bailey, ready to be briefed on the plans? Or, okay, you sleep on the job? Alright, I'll get briefed on the plans.
She's gonna be briefed with sleeping.
Alright, walk us through the plan.
Yeah, so like we mentioned, we have to cut out this control panel, which will go right in this area. About 10 by 10 is kind of what our design is based on right now. So part of the issue is that we have a fridge right next to it, so we have to be mindful of how much space our fridge will need. So it's going to be a little tricky because Liana's got a lot of needs. This is all her fault.
What?
Every design issue we've had.
Issue.
Change management. All right.
Improvement.
Okay, so here's our front of the control panel. 10 by 10, a bunch of little doodads in there, right? Like our controllers and our switches to control various things. But we want this to be on a door, right? So we don't want to be able to see it just in its natural position. We want to have it on hinges so that only when we need to, we'll open it. So the door will go obviously in front of this, it'll cover it. It'll open like so. But that means that there's kind of multiple layers that need to occur, and all within the depth that we have available with the fridge next to it. So looking at the side profile, I guess I didn't do a great job at labeling stuff. Here's the door, right? So this will open like this. Then you have another wall inside of it, which is what mounts the equipment. So we're looking at the side profile. Here's, for example, the side profile of the Renogy controller. A little bit of it sticks out in the back, and then that's where all the wires tap into. Same thing with the switches here. They mount to this plate. Mount. And then this area kind of just holds all of the wires and the butts of all the stuff. So then after that, then we just need a wall behind it that kind of just compartmentalizes all of these wires without being exposed to just flopping around out here next to the fridge. So it's going to be a little hamburger stack of good stuff, lots of layers.
Tasty.
And yeah, so we got to build that, we got to cut it out, and hope for the best.
Oh, so easy. You got this.
I was going to put you on the job.
Oh, no. I'm the painting department. Or finishing department. Okay, let's do it.
Other duties as assigned.
Bye-bye.
It's in the job description.
Bye-bye.
Don't move.
What?
Well, I can't even actually properly measure this out here, but this is just for viewing purposes.
Okay.
I gotta mark it out from the back side anyways, because I can't cut from this direction.
Okay.
But I think this is where it's gonna end up being. So we basically tried to put it below the plane of the top of the fridge. That way we're not trying to build a shelf around the little bump out that will occur out here. Somebody had a good idea.
What a smart person.
Oh, Bailey. So we brought out all of our devices that need to go in the control panel. And I think the biggest one is probably this Renogy one. So what we want to do right now is confirm how deep these things need. It looks like we'll have about 3 1/4 inches behind our control panel of space. Okay. Yeah, it's like
Okay, yeah, it's
inch
not
and
that...
a quarter maybe. I mean, plus there's some wires that come out of here.
Yeah, it
like the
doesn't look that
power
deep
and-
though. I thought it was going to be thick.
I know.
It's pretty good.
This thing's nice.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Here, give me that. Let's show the people what... No. Show the people what this is going to look like.
So that
I can't
is
get this out.
So that's the Renogy 1 core. So all of our devices are Renogy devices. So we'll be able to keep track of our solar panel production, our inverter usage, our DC to DC charger usage, of course like the battery stuff too, and then yeah, current loads, consumption. So the next one we can look at is the SeeLevel. And I don't think this should be too deep. But the SeeLevel is basically just a tank monitoring system. So you have these sender units that get stuck onto the sides of your tanks, and then you clip off the top depending on what signal you want to send to this. So it could be like your gray water, your black water, or something else maybe. So we got two different sizes because our tanks are different sizes. So no issues there. Ooh, it comes with a little, what do you call these?
Koozie?
Well, I guess I have to drink beer now. What time is it?
Oh my gosh. 11.
Oh, this is lunch.
It's lunch. Alright, intermission. BRB.
And then the last one. Yeah, don't jump the gun yet.
Okay.
Last one's just the EasyStart, but we already took a look at this, folks. If you haven't seen our S-Bar heater, go check it out. And where is it?
Shameless plug.
Where is it?
Oh no. Better go find it.
Okay, I don't know where that is. I have to figure out where I put that.
Yikes.
And then the actual ones that I'm actually the most concerned about is these guys. So we did hardwire our Renogy inverter remote. It's a huge unit. The controller is really big for what it actually does, so I did find these, I think these are single pole double throw switches. They have a normally open and normally closed position, as well as two color
nice.
LEDs on them. So that's pretty much what that inverter remote does. You turn it on and off, and it has two lights either telling you that it's on or if it's airing out. So you can hardwire those to a small switch like this, which replaces a little receptacle that's probably about 3 by 4 inches long.
Thank you for the visual.
So, but this, of course, is probably our longest one or our deepest one. So, but even then, that's like 2 inches. So I think we'll be all right. I hope. If anything, we could just chop this off and hardwire it to the contacts here. So we can get working on that. I'll cut it out so that we could ship it to the next department who needs it.
Sounds good. Oh, nice koozie.
And give the people what they want. Shout out to Garnet, SeeLevel. Not sponsored by them by any means.
No, we don't get those yet.
But thanks for the koozie. Shout out to Brewery X. Not sponsored by them. But if you want to, I love drinking beer and all this good stuff.
Please sponsor it.
We got a variety pack of sandpapers now. So Rihanna is now using the power tool. Alright, I got my 10 by 10 marked out here, right in the location we want. So it's centered left and right, and then below the line of the fridge, which is 31 inches. So I put it at like 30 probably. So I'm going to take the circular saw and just plunge cut from the center and cut this out. Hopefully it turns out nicely, but we'll see. Definitely don't want any scraggly edges, but I guess we could patch it up. Finishing department is great at that. Hey, you're drinking my drink!
What? I mean, my drink.
It's so early.
Warming up.
It's too early to drink. Don't pinky me. B-bombs. I got the plunge cuts made. So these two came out perfectly straight just because I used a guide for those. These ones I kind of had a free ball. So I'll have to clean it up, or not clean it up, but cut the corners with the jigsaw and then sand it down to our exact dimensions. Good job, Red Rock Canyon. Alright, we are all cut out now. I just went through and cleaned it up with the file. So like anywhere where I transitioned between the circular saw and the jigsaw, I cleaned it up. So now it's nice and square. Came out really good. We're happy with it. So the next steps are going to be making the boxes for it, or the box for it. So that'll be kind of tricky just because we're gonna plan to use 1/4 inch for everything. That way we kind of maximize our internal volume without protruding too far back. So the more space, the merrier. And it's not like this is really supporting much load anyways, so let's see how that goes. I have refined the design with actual dimensions now. So here you could see what we're planning on doing. Here's our cuts. Over here, everything's gonna be based off of 1/4 inch. So from the last thing that we mentioned, we are going to add these 1/2 inch standoffs, which are denoted with these slash lines here. But basically those are gonna be things that we can screw on and off, or screw into, so that we can remove this mounting plate if we need to, and get behind the guts. So I got a bunch of cuts to make. I think this all makes sense. So basically our sides are gonna be, well, I guess, which way is sides? 3 dimensions is hard, but this is what we're gonna cut. We're gonna see how it works. But all right, we made the box. Well, we cut the pieces for the box and everything is working as expected, so that's good. But yeah, I wanted to show you what the box turned out like. Take a peek, Liana.
Nice.
So the inside dimensions is 10 by 10, which matches up with the hole that we cut here. There's actually a door down here. This 1/2 inch plywood is the door, but I kind of just like test fit the box on top of it, so I can't show you that right now. But here's another 10 by 10 piece. This is again 1/4 inch. And this will stand on top of these little standoffs. So I'll probably have to drill a little hole in here just so that, you know, when we do unscrew this face plate or the mounting plate, we have a little place to grip it. But this will sit right in there. I don't know if I could do it without Jenga!
Jenga!
So, but yeah, there you have it. So I'm gonna glue it up. Since it's 1/4 inch, we can't really use hardware or like screws for that matter. So we'll glue it and throw some brad nails in, and it should be more than enough for the little bit of weight that it's got to support. Toodaloo! I'm working on the control panel so that Liana can paint it. I already got one hole cut out, which is for our Renogy hub. But it takes a lot of measurements, and I might be being too perfect about spacing and everything, but it is what it is. So we got all of our devices kind of marked here at this point, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut those out. And hopefully it looks good. Good job, Liana.
Yeah.
Liana's going in with our final coat. We got a new cabinet color unlocked, baby. What do we got here?
It's called Baja.
Yeah.
From Bear.
Baja Bear. Here's how the box came out. So maybe went a little overboard with the clamps, but I wanted to make sure everything was nice and square because we don't really have much tolerance with our cutout. So got a bunch of clamps, wood glues in. You can see I put some brads in very precisely since this is 1/4 inch. So I think I used 5/8 inch brads just to mechanically hold things together. They have a little tip on them, or a little head on them. So yeah, so I think at this point this is dry, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue those standoffs down, and then also, I don't know if I put brads into the bottom. Oh yeah, look at me, I did. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue those standoffs in here now. Alright, we've made more progress on this box. So I had to figure out how I was going to mount it. And I ended up just creating basically a little flange out of 1/2-inch plywood. So it's all clamped up. At this point it should be dry, so I'm going to take these off and then we can take a peek at all the other slight modifications I made. Here's the final layout of our control panel. So everything's still floating right now, nothing screwed in yet, so it'll look a little bit kind of skewed in some directions, but ignore that for now. So we have our Renogy hub. This shows us information on all of our Renogy devices. So our B2B, our batteries, our solar, all that good stuff will be shown here. It's touchscreen, it's kind of cool. Haven't actually tested it out yet. This is our SeeLevel tank monitor. So this will tell us information on our fresh and gray water. So even though this says black, it'll be our gray water. And then of course the EasyStart Pro, the thermostat for our gasoline heater. We have a switch panel here for our various DC devices that we want to be able to turn off and on. So that could be like our electronic ball valve, our pump, all that good stuff. I guess pump is right here. So whatever else we need to connect to. There will be a couple idle switches here, but that'll be some room for upgrades and all that good stuff. And then here, this is a small version of this panel, but I did modify it to fit this double pull, double throw switch. If you saw our WeBoost and K9000 video, this is that switch that'll control the up and down of the tilt, as well as the power to the WeBoost itself. And then this is our Renogy inverter remote. So I did customize this switch. So the controller, the remote control that came with the inverter itself was kind of huge. It was basically the size or the footprint of this SeeLevel, but it was very basic and just seems like it took up way more space than it was necessary. So I did find this 2 LED on-off switch with a normally open and normally closed position. So I will be hardwiring this to our inverter, right? So that way we could see if it's on and off, which will be one of the lights, and then the other one is if there's an error code. So it fits nicely in this control panel. So as far as what I've done to this so far, I think it's about ready to be painted. What I still need to do is basically just drive some screws into here. I wasn't sure if I wanted to use just a Phillips head screw or some sort of bolt with a nut kind of glued down to the standoffs that we created. Still deciding on that. But I did cut out this little kind of finger hole so that if I do need to get under there, I could grab onto it. And then lastly, what we did was we cut out this 1-inch hole, and we still need to get a 1-inch grommet that'll fit right in there, and that's going to be how the wires enter and exit the control panel. So it's on the left side because that kind of matches the direction that all of our wires from our wall are coming from. But at this point, we're getting close, so a few more steps.
Alright, so this is our Baja color and this is our wall marble white color. So it looks pretty good together. But it'll look better without this orange tape, so let's take that off. Nice! Looks pretty good.
Yeah, you can tell the contrast here on the right by each other.
I know, before they weren't looking that different. I was like, I hope it looks different enough, but it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll look at it in the daytime, and once it's in the van with the wood and everything. Yeah. Okay.
It's a little bit of a mess in here. However, we made all of our connections in our control panel. So it's definitely a little bit of a rat's nest. I tried to keep it organized. But everything's in. We ended up going with a distribution or a fuse panel here. I was trying to avoid that. But it makes a lot of sense, for sure. That way you would have less runs going across the van, or at least from your battery bank to wherever your control panel is. So we just went with it, but everything that's connected in this branch here is pretty low current. So I'm only expecting probably about 1 amp coming out of here. Before we close this up, we have to hot glue some of these exposed screw pointiness. So this is kind of a very small area, and I'm worried that one of these will puncture a wire. So I'm just gonna throw some hot glue over it. That should give it a little bit of bumpiness. And then we could smash this against this. So it's gonna be a tight squeeze. So I wanted to point out a couple things. So our little switch panel here has its own ground. That's because we need, there's a little light indicator on it. And then it's kind of a similar concept with the SeeLevel that goes to this display. The light, which is just above the switch, is powered through the white wire of the little cable. And that connects to the load side of the switch. So when the switch turns on the pump also turns on the light. So that's the concept there. And then, yeah, the next little bit is we did find these AC switches. This is going to be used to switch the AC outlet that is powering our water heater. So it's kind of difficult to find something more than 15 amps. However, we did find one that's 16 amps for AC, and our water pump will probably only pull like 12 amps. So we should be good there. And just one more thing to point out is that you shouldn't kind of intermingle AC and DC switches with AC and DC, or the opposite voltage. I think technically you can use AC with DC switches, just by the way that AC works. However, you shouldn't use DC with AC switches. So there's some science behind that. It has to deal with direct current versus alternating current. Alternating current kind of, you know, at however many hertz it goes to 0, so it will cut out, whereas direct current is just continuous. So be aware of that. Alright, now for the big reveal. Ta-da! All my hard work to this little box. So I'm happy with how it turned out. Our clearances are good. The door is sagging just a little bit downwards. I was aiming for about a 1/16 of an inch all around, so I could mess with the hinges a little bit. But we got to figure out, what's left is that we have to figure out some sort of handle for this. I don't think we want like an actual knob. Maybe, we'll see how it goes. But we might try to do some sort of decorative kind of situation that'll kind of be like this concealed handle. So we're looking good. I'm happy with it. Good job, Katie.
Bye-bye. Are you hot?
Alright, so I think we're going to call the video there. I know you guys are probably tired of me talking at you, so why don't you close this out?
Thanks for watching. We're really excited about our control panel. He fulfilled all the requests that I had, especially being able to have a little door to close and open. So really happy with that, and all of our outlets. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. And if you have any questions about our van build or our plans, leave it in the comments. And if you want to follow along the rest of our build and journey, go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
See ya!
Bye!